So I was at school the other day, and some random guy walks up to me while I'm sitting on my computer, and he's like, blah 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 blah, and in a language I don't know, like in Russian and Spanish and English, and I thought I was having a stroke because he was speaking. I thought he was speaking Russian because we're in Russia. He looks Russian. And I was like, oh, maybe these are vocab words we never had in my classes back in the States. And he was like, blah, 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 blah. And then finally he was like, where are you from? And I was like, the United States. And he was like, holy crap, you're from the United States? Like, oh my God. So his mind was blown. He was like, I'm sorry, I thought you were Arabic. I was speaking Arabic to you.
Yeah, because you look Arabic, obviously.
Yeah. So here, apparently, I do.
to the Arabic people.
Yeah. And it was just really funny because he thought I spoke Arabic. And then, so his mind was blown that I was from America because I'm the only American basically at the school. There's like maybe 2 or 3 total in the whole school.
So like real American.
Yeah, I'm like the only one of this year, like a freshman at our school. And he was like, holy shit, you're from America. Like, let's sit down and talk. So we sat down and talked for like an hour about like politics. And like, he was like, your country's awful. You're like always taking advantage of poor countries and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, great.
Sure.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, that's
like,
me.
Great welcome, I appreciate the warm welcome. Anyways.
Yeah, Americans get, like, sometimes I feel like Americans get even more hate than Russians.
Really?
Like, on the internet, yeah. Like, whenever people post something from America, yeah, people are like, Americans, again, these people.
Yeah, I mean, like, you're right, like, it is weird, like, coming here and being like, oh, you're from America. People like look at me like I'm like an alien from like Mars or something because they're like, holy shit, like what are you doing here, And I have to explain to them like I'm studying, I'm going to school at HSC, I'm getting my master's degree and all that. And they're like, why are you here? Like it's pretty funny, but
yeah, I got the same in America as a Russian, but yeah, it's not like our countries are doing any kinds of relations right now. So yeah, I guess it makes you feel special, right? You're like.
Yeah, I feel like a celebrity sometimes. Yeah, because like if I go on like the metro or go on the bus, everyone's like.
No, everyone. Okay, he's thinking that everyone is staring at him. Everyone is staring at everyone in Moscow.
I disagree.
Yeah, no, you have some kind of, what is it called?
Self-aggrandizing.
I don't know. No, everyone is staring at everyone. Like you don't look American. You don't look as if like.
Well, I don't know. It's just weird. Everywhere I go, I feel like it's just.
Yeah, everyone is staring. Yeah.
Okay. But they don't stare at other Muscovites, which is really interesting.
No, they do. You just don't notice. Okay. Yeah.
Because they're too busy staring at me. That's why I see my point exactly.
No, people are staring at everyone. This is Russia.
Okay.
Yeah, you should.
This is Russia. Okay.
You should get over it yourself. Like,
yeah.
People are staring at me. Everyone is staring at everyone.
But did that happen when you came to the United States?
People in the United States don't stare.
Yeah.
That's the difference. People in Russia stare. Yeah.
Okay.
And now I need to like. I think in Moscow, I just used to have like a stone face. I just try to not notice people because I don't like people staring at me. So I'm like, I don't look their way even.
Got it. You develop like a thick skin, like an armor to that people staring at you.
Yeah, because it also makes you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like,
so it does.
Yeah.
It happens all the time.
So it's like, and it's also like not a smiley stare, right? It's not like.
I mean,
it's not like,
we're in Russia. Nobody smiles.
Yeah, nobody smiles.
This is everybody.
It's like.
At least, like, in America, it'd be like, oh, maybe they think, like, they're trying to flirt with you or whatever. But here, it's like, it's babushkas and, like, it's everybody. Like, everybody's staring at it. Ooh.
Yeah, just everyone is staring at everyone. Yeah, culture shock.
So, yeah, that's my culture shock
number
one.
Yeah, and so Chris was thinking that everyone was staring at him. He was like, I'm a celebrity here. They reported to Vladimir Putin that I'm coming, so they put my pictures everywhere.
Well, okay, do you want to talk about...
So now everyone recognizes me. And they're staring. Okay, no.
Do you want to talk about like first like coming here?
Yeah, sure. So let's see. Oh, so welcome to the Peach&Coconut podcast.
Yeah,
Here we talk about the cultural differences, and in today's episode, we're going to talk basically how Chris came to America. What is the current experience?
Came to Russia.
Oh.
Great. We can edit that out, or we can leave it in.
In the current episode, we're going to talk about the process of getting to Russia based on Chris' experience. We could also talk about how I came to America last year. And yeah, the differences that we've noticed upon our first arrival here.
Yeah, so I applied to HSC University, which is the Higher School of Economics in Moscow. I applied about a year and a half ago. and it took a while for me to like get all my paperwork together and get everything translated. That was a big part of like the entire process, is getting my application, passports, certificates, diplomas, like all that stuff translated, notarized, and sent over here. That took like a really long time. And then once I was able to get all that, I had an interview, I had to write like an essay. So I had to go through like your typical college application process that we would in the United States. The only difference is just, like I said, I had to get everything translated and notarized, which was kind of annoying, but whatever. So once I did all that, got the interview and everything, I was actually given a scholarship. I was awarded a scholarship to come and study here, which is really nice. So I don't pay tuition, and I get like a really small stipend per month for like my porridge or you know, my borscht, my daily borscht allowance. Anyways, so
it's not even daily borscht allowance. It's really lower. It's like, how much is it in dollars?
It's like $20 a month.
How much is it in rubles?
2,000 rubles. I'm not complaining because it's free school. Like in the United States, school is so much, as you know, those Americans know, it's really, really expensive. But so I applied, and then I waited for a while to get my visa approved. That was like the most difficult part, was getting my visa approved. So I had to apply for a visa, I had to go online, and then I had to apply to go pick up my visa in person. And one of the things was I applied to pick it up in Washington, D.C. And when I flew to Washington, D.C., they were like, oh, your visa's in Houston.
Okay.
And
this is... What?
So they're like, you can either mail us your passport. This is in August, like early August, so not too long ago. They're like, well, you can mail us your passport, we'll put the visa on it, and then mail it back to you. And I was like, absolutely not. There's no way I'm like sending my passport in the mail. Like, that's how I get lost. And so what I did was I flew out from, I was in DC, I flew to Houston, went in person, picked it up.
Where's Houston in America?
In Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, so like America, it's in like the center.
Yeah, I understand.
And it's kind of near like the water, near the Gulf of Mexico.
Okay.
So I picked up my visa in Houston, and then it's just like a page in your passport. So it's like a sticker. They like put the sticker on your passport.
Yeah.
And it has all your stuff in Russian. It's really like official. And then that's it.
Okay.
And then from there, I bought my ticket to fly here. So I flew from Houston to Istanbul to Moscow.
I'm trying to see what was different. You didn't have any interview, right, for the visa?
For the visa, no, I didn't have an interview. I think it was because I was a scholarship student and I was going to university. That's like, it was separate because I already gave them like pretty much all my information anyways.
No, I think that it's just the process is different. So if you get, as a Russian, you get a visa to America, you have an interview in any case.
Okay.
You have to go through an interview. And last year, I came with like American program so everything was paid for me as like a young entrepreneur, paid by State Department. So you guys basically paid for me coming to America. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so they paid for you, and then it was for sharing.
So this is nice. The Russian government is paying for your education.
Yeah, exactly.
American paid for mine. That's nice. It's a little different because we have sanctions now, and America closed all the embassies, but since it was all paid, everything, they had to cover everything. So they decided to open the embassy for us instead of flying us to another country because that would be more expensive.
Wow.
So they've opened it closed, and like the embassy was still working for Americans in Russia, but it wasn't working for Russians.
Got it.
So we were the only people there.
Wow.
And we had our interviews, and I was so nervous because I think I either lied on my previous visa application about my work experience, something, or I don't know what I said. So I was really worried about like my 2 visa applications because it was my second time in America, not matching. I don't know why. I don't remember. Yeah, but they were so nice. They were like, okay, State Department already paid for you. Have a nice, like they couldn't refuse basically because it was a lot of money. But yeah, the program where I applied for it was also a lot of interviews. It was a lot of essays and motivational things. And there was, a big selection process. But the difference is, I think that for Russians to get an American visa, you need an interview, and for you don't. And for how long did you get your visa?
So the first visa was 90 days, and right now I'm in the process of applying for the extension.
Yeah, and it's till the school year?
I think so, yeah. I think the extension just goes to the end of the school year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then you land, and then you have to go through customs, which in Russia is kind of legendary.
But also, you don't just like fly to Moscow from America.
I had to fly to Istanbul. Yeah, there's no direct flights from...
So you flew Houston?
Houston to Istanbul, Turkey.
Istanbul, Moscow.
Istanbul to Moscow.
I flew Moscow to Istanbul, Istanbul to Frankfurt, Frankfurt to DC to Detroit.
Lovely.
And I hate, like, I'm scared of flying.
Yeah.
So I hate flying. So I was like, huh.
They're like, how many flights can we put this lady on?
Yeah, that was only one way. It was 4 flights and 4 flights back.
Oh my
and
goodness.
I found my first ever gray hair after these
Oh, wow.
10 flights.
Yeah.
Because I also flew to New York.
Jeez.
Yeah, I was like, okay. Yes, we're old now.
All this flying is making me old.
So the customs.
So I land in Moscow and I'm already like heightened, and I also didn't sleep well the night before because I slept in the airport.
Okay.
And the woman next to me, I was talking to her. She was from New York. She was coming back. She's like Russian, and her family was there. And we were talking, and her dad looks at me in Russian and goes, "You're a brave man." And I was like, "Oh, like." Oh,
okay. No. Russians are exaggerating how dangerous Russia is. Like, it's not. Like, Russians go like, it's so dangerous. Like, it's not. Like,
no, I didn't think it was dangerous, but it was just like an omen, like in a movie when you're like going down the trail and the old man is like, be careful.
No, it's like I hate this about Russians. They're all like that. They're in the comments. They're like, yeah, we're drinking vodka here all the time. We don't. Like they're just so
yeah, he was like, you're a brave man. I was like, okay. So I go and I wait in the passport line. It's like an hour long wait. And then I get to the front and I hand the gentleman my passport. The customs officer, very serious Russian man, of course.
Of course.
Like has like the uniform and all the badges and everything, right? Very official. And he looks at my passport. He looks at the visa, and then he just looks at me, and then he takes the passport and like sets it to the side, and he says like, "Go wait over there." And I was like, "Oh boy, here we go." And so I don't have my passport. I'm in a foreign country, and like now what?
Yeah.
And I don't really understand. Like I speak Russian, but I don't speak enough Russian to like fully understand the process and the culture of what's going on.
Okay.
Apparently it's normal. Apparently for like most Americans, they make you wait. So I sit there and wait for like another 45 minutes, and then some guy in a suit comes up to me and he was like, "Come with me." I was like, "Okay." And he has my passport. So I was like, "Okay, cool." So we go into this room and he introduces himself and he is like, "Hello, my name is, blah, blah, blah. And we're going to just talk." I was like, "Okay." And he was like, he pointed at the cameras. He was like, "We're recording. Like, it's just me and him in this small, it's basically an interrogation room. Let's be honest."
Yeah, you're in a movie.
Yeah, it's a literal movie.
Still a movie, yeah.
Yeah, it's like insane, right? So like, I'm getting worked up just thinking about it. Okay.
Okay.
So it's sitting there across from him, and he's like, "What are you doing here? Why are you here? Like, explain your story." Like, and then he knew that I spoke Russian, so he was like, "How do you know Russian?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, I went to school at USC. I studied Russian. I got my bachelor's degree in Russian. I'm here to get my master's. Blah blah." I went through the whole story. He's like, "Okay, tell me your life story. Where were you born? Like, give me everything."
Yeah.
And then I was like, "Oh, like," he's like, "What did you do before this?" I was like, "I'm in the military. I was in the military." And after that, he he relaxed, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Do you mind if I vape?" I was like, "What?" So, because he's in the military also.
Russian custom. Do you mind if I vape?
So he starts vaping, and he's taking notes the whole time. He's like writing like pages worth of notes. And I'm like, okay. And then he starts to like bro down with me. Because he was like, "Oh, I went to our military academy here. Like, I'm in the military. I know." Like, and then it just became like a back and forth of like, "What's your military like?" "Oh, well, we do this in our military. What is your military?" So we just like went back and forth and like shared our like military cultural experience.
Yeah, that's so
for like 2 hours. We were sitting there talking, and I'm like exhausted. I hadn't had a drink. Like, I'm really tired. Blah blah. And then, yeah, he's like at the very end. He's like, "Do you know who I represent?" And I was like, FSB, like FSB is KGB. And he was like, "Yes." And I was like, ooh. Like it was like this like goosebump moment. Anyways, he was super cool, and then he's like, "Okay, we're done." And then we just like walked out, handed me my passport, walked through customs control or border patrol, and he like helped me like exchange money from like dollars to rubles. He was really nice. He like walked me to the door, and he's like, "Have a great trip."
Coconut culture.
Yeah.
Really tough.
Exactly.
And then can we vape? Can I vape?
Yeah. Can I
vape? You can't take him seriously, right? Anymore.
Well, like after that, it was really interesting. So yeah, he like was really nice and all that, and he like took all his notes, and then that was it. And then I'm on the street, and I'm like, "Holy shit, I'm in Russia." Like,
yeah. Oh, that's interesting because American customs are also like kind of very serious, and they don't smile. They're very like my first ever visit to America at the customs. Okay, I don't know how I'm supposed to say. Can I say black?
Black what?
Person?
Yeah.
We just don't have those in Russia. So.
Yeah, I know. I've seen, or lack thereof.
So it was a very stereotypical black woman, and she was like as if she was from the movie. And she was kind of flirting with another black worker, and it was in a very like, no one can let me work here, I'm just working my ass off, and I'm like, I'm in America, that's so cool, I'm in a movie.
Yeah.
So that was
it was very much the same, cultural. Just in an American movie setting.
Yeah. So that was cool. But no, the second time around, everyone was just very strict, and since it was after the war, they pulled out all the guys that were with us, and they interviewed them for another like hour or two, and they asked them if they were going to come back and stuff. And that, given that we went through a lot of background checks from the State Department, so yeah, they still had to, and we were waiting for them in Starbucks, like. We're girls. That's like a good year to be born as a girl. Like, yeah. I finally started appreciating being a girl.
Your female privilege, yeah.
Yeah. Finally, in Russia, 2022, being a girl became better.
What's like the first thing you notice in America?
Okay, to be fair, the first thing that the barrier between people is not that big as in Russia. So for example, my first time in America, first day, I went to Starbucks, and the guy sneezes. Yeah, and I just don't react.
Yeah.
And then I sneeze, and he says, like, bless you. And I'm like, okay, now I'm rude. Like, I didn't know. I didn't know you were supposed to, like, we don't do this for people we don't know, personally. I mean, you kind of could do it, but it would be, like, more normal to not do it. And I was like, wow. And obviously all the small talk where everyone is just asking you, hi, how are you? Even, I think the weirdest thing was like in the aisle in the supermarket when I just looked at the guy by accident. We were grabbing the same juice, and he was like, hi, how's your day going? And I'm like, huh? What?
Yeah, so it's really friendly, polite culture.
Yeah, but we don't have that, right? Was it a shock for you or not?
So I studied abroad in Moldova a couple years ago, so I'm kind of used to like a little bit of that like colder type coconut culture. Yeah. Right? As opposed to America, which is like a peach culture, which is like a theme that, obviously it's the name of our podcast, but it's a theme that we're going to explore like throughout all of our episodes. So this is like a good example of that, like people not smiling, people not like being like, oh, how can I help you? Like, what can I do for you?
Yeah, no one.
Like that's not a thing. Like, you really have to be like, if you want something from somebody, you really have to be like, okay, like, can you, like, you really gotta like sell them. So that's like, that was one of the things that I noticed.
But is it weird for you that people don't even say like hi when you cross their eyes?
I mean, I guess, yeah, especially coming from the culture that I came from, for sure. Like normally you like greet people, you say hello, you say how you doing, like.
And like if you just see their eyes, if like you cross the side, right? You just say hi. Yeah. You just say hi and you say hi, how are you? Yeah. So, yeah, in Russia, it's kind of rude even to ask if you don't care, kind of. We have this culture, and we hate Americans for that. We hate this thing about Americans for that, because we're like, you don't care. Yeah. Like, you just ask because you're polite, you don't care, and that's a big thing here.
Definitely. Yeah, and I mean, it's like that, like, even in like, the language, you don't have, like, a lot of friends, you have a lot of acquaintances. Yeah. Like, in America, you say, oh, I have so many friends. Yeah. But it's like, no, in reality, you have, like, acquaintances and friends. Yeah. But in Russian language, there's a distinction between an acquaintance and a friend. Yeah. Which is, like, very important. You have very few friends, very many acquaintances. And in English, it's kind of the opposite. You have, like, a lot of friends, people would say. And, like, more so on the surface, we're very friendly. Yeah. But, like, not really wanting to know, like, how are you actually doing? Yeah. Because people are just like, oh, I'm fine, I'm good, I'm okay, like, whatever. Yeah. But you don't really want to know, like, tell me about your day. Like, you don't really know.
Yeah, but to defend us, I like this about American culture, actually. This is something I really like. Because this is just nice that everyone is very positive. Mm-hmm. Everyone is trying to be in the good mood. Mm-hmm. And everyone is trying to be nice to each other and polite. As opposed to Russia, where everyone is just straight. It feels rude because you don't smile, you don't ask. And I think this is something I really appreciate about American culture, because even though it's not like genuine in our understanding, it's still genuine in the way that you're like being nice, you're open, you're like, hey, how are you? Like, so I don't necessarily think that we should judge Americans for being fake. I think it's just another approach to the same thing, and it doesn't mean that one or the other is correct. So
yeah, of course, and I think like that's what makes when I run into somebody in Russia, like for example, yesterday I went to get some documents printed, and the woman was like really friendly, and I was like, wow, like oh my gosh, she's friendly, she's helping me, this is amazing, like she's smiling, she's saying like, and it was just like whoa, and it just reminded me of kind of like the United States a little bit, but yeah, it was really nice that she was like really friendly and open.
It's so funny. I have a funny story. Very quick on this. So I've decided I'm doing a challenge where I smile to strangers for a week. It was like I'm doing all kinds of challenges, like not strangers, but people I interact with that I don't know. And so the first interaction ever, and that day, it was this week, Monday. I failed it, by the way. I couldn't smile. Like nope. First interaction of the day was in my cafeteria. I go there every day. They know me. They know what kind of coffee I get. They know how I get it. They know everything. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to smile to them for the first time, like ever. Just and
first time ever.
Yeah. And they have a new employee there, and it's the first ever guy that works there. So they have all the girls.
Got it.
So imagine, I was going there, never smiling at any of the girls. And on the first day where I have this challenge, they're like, it's a guy like serving me, and I'm like, so now I'm just a bit, I'm just a horrible person.
Because you don't want the guy to think like you're flirting with him.
Yeah, because to them, to the girls, I'm like only smiling to the guy.
To the guy,
I'm like, this is horrible. This is a horrible way to start the challenge. This is bad.
That's a good challenge though. Like especially here. Like here, that would be such an interesting challenge to do.
Yeah, but it's hard. Like it's really hard. I can't. Like my muscles don't move. like
you're like the Grinch. Your heart's really small. Like,
No, in America I do it all the time, but in Russia I'm like, this is like weird. Like this is weird.
I have to like suppress smiling or like laughter in public, especially when I'm by myself. Like if I read a funny joke or like a text message or something, I like have to like cover my mouth so I can smile because I don't want people to think like, oh, I'm smiling at them or I'm being weird or crazy.
No, I don't think it's the thing. People do well with smiling, they just don't smile. And we do get Americanized in this way. Younger generation is more smiling, people are more polite. If you get a service in Moscow especially, people are going to smile to you, they're going to be polite and nice if you're in a restaurant or if you're in a hotel, etc. So,
true, but I've noticed there's I'm gonna get heat for this. There's a lot of ugly men with beautiful women. And it's like
this is horrible.
Holy shit.
Yeah, that's what all people say, Yeah,
it's not even like they're older either. Like I hate to generalize because generalizing is
our guys just stop caring about themselves. But it's also
like a masculinity thing, right?
No, it's also because my theory is that after the Second World War, we've got like Russia was the country that lost the most men, and the society was very imbalanced in terms of genders. So there was a lot of women and few men. And since then, it's even in the culture that it's like more important for a woman to find a partner than for a man because there's so many women, and we have songs like this and we have like sayings like this. And even though now society evened out, there's still a lot of people that say, oh, but we have much more girls than guys. And even I have to stop, like my friends are like somebody saying that, I'm like, no, it's like literally not. I mean, we did just start another war, but which isn't going to help us. So basically, because of this, there was so many requirements for women and so few for men, basically, because there was this competition. I need to do a research on this, so if anyone knows, you can correct me. But that's my theory, that women feel a lot of pressure and men don't. But I think it's changing now because Russian women finally, I think, really grew a lot personally and psychologically, and now they also require a lot from men, which is a good thing.
Definitely.
That was an episode of Peach&Coconut podcast. Please like this episode and write a comment, write any requests if you want to hear about anything in particular, and subscribe to our channel. Yeah, see you next time. Bye.
Bye.